These houses are affordable and minimalistic living options. However, there is so much more to these houses than just size. They are termed as assets by some, while others just turn them as a cost-saving option. What do you feel about these houses? Let's try to understand. Let's understand what a tiny house is. A tiny home is typically a property whose dimensions are not more than 100 and 400 square feet. The major characteristics of these properties are that they typically feature an extremely efficient design that allows for the best use of space. The major principle of these houses is to efficiently use spaces that are limited. It may seem impossible to live within these tiny spaces, as the average size of a single-family home in the United States is 2,500 square feet. However, to make up for the missing space in these tiny homes, the designers often include large windows, furniture which serves multiple purposes, ceilings that are high, balconies that can be narrowed or extended to give the illusion of more space. It simply depends on your preference and taste. These homes can be customized and hence can be built in a variety of forms, including permanent and mobile structures. The construction of these tiny homes is also different. While a few tiny homeowners like to build their own structures from scratch, there are some that convert existing buildings into tiny homes. For example, people have converted sheds and storage containers into tiny homes, EVs into little tiny homes. 70s. However, they have become the most popular in recent years. Would you like these tiny homes? Do tell us, keeping in mind the limited space you have there. Benefits of a tiny home investment. If you are thinking about the benefits of investing in tiny homes and consider converting them into a potential asset, the first step is investing in them, and here we're going to share with you why a tiny home is a better investment. The first positive is, of course, their low cost. You can convert pretty much anything into a tiny home. Like even large shipping containers are good to go. Hence, their small size makes their tiny homes relatively low priced. No matter if you are buying them or construct them from scratch.
Total cost for the tiny homes, including the land and all the improvements, are probably between $150,000 and $180,000 each. I would recommend people, when they're looking to buy land, to check out the infrastructure that's available and what it might cost.
Not only this, you'll be glad to know the price is not the only advantage these houses have. They have other benefits too. Minimum maintenance and operating costs. It's a normal thing for a small home that needs small maintenance. In a large house, you have to take care of an area you seldom use, or you don't use at all. However, in these tiny homes, you have much less area to maintain, which is time and cost saving. This is great for investors who are looking for minimum maintenance and operating costs. Potentially profitable. If you are investing in these tiny homes, it does not mean you are poor and have no space to live. It means you are making efficient choices. In the big cities, there's a huge demand for space, and people are ready to pay rent to tiny spaces if possible, so you can use these small homes as short-term or long-term rentals. This gives you a chance to earn passive income from these small properties, and the best part is that you have invested much less in them already, so these houses are a win-win for you, and thus qualify for being your long-term assets. Cheaper utilities. The smaller the property, the smaller the utilities. The bigger the properties, the bigger the utilities. Small houses or tiny homes have less utility usage, which can save a lot of money in case you're a student or managing finances. Or if you're an investor, you can save a lot of money due to less utilities. Minimize ecological footprint. However, there are some who think of nature, reliability, and sustainability in the future. These conscious people make use of these tiny homes, as they are associated with a more environmentally friendly way of life. Because of their small size, less utilities, and easy construction, these houses minimize the ecological footprint and can be regarded as the houses of the future. Occasional location flexibility. Your home can be a beach one day. If you construct your tiny house on wheels, you can make a mobile tiny home. The location can change over time. This flexibility can be an interesting addition to any real estate portfolio, and overall for the individual who loves fun and travel. Drawbacks of a tiny home investment. Buying or making a tiny home may seem all fun and an easy task. However, they also have their fair share of drawbacks. One of the most significant challenges that these house owners or the aspiring tiny homeowners have to face is the location to build or place the home, as these homes cannot be built just anywhere and everywhere. There are many locations that have strict zoning laws that regulate a minimum square footage for builds in that area, and if somehow you manage to get the space for building your tiny house, then securing the necessary utility connections may be difficult. Here are a few other cons to keep in mind before buying a tiny home. Limited space. It's something that's there. Not a hidden con, but something you have to prepare yourself before buying a tiny home. It's very low in space, and it's not always easy to live in a 400 square foot or less space, especially if you have spent your entire life in a larger home. This hurdle can be challenging when marketing the property, and there might be very few takers of this in the rentals as well, as nobody wants a narrow space that can feel suffocating at times. Mortgage complications. A tiny house comes with a lot of mortgage complications, as most mortgage lenders have a minimum loan amount around $60,000, much more than the average price of a tiny home. Investors may need creative financing methods or cash to finance a tiny home. Unclear market. It's becoming more of a trend to live in these houses.
I love how clean and simple you've kept this home, yet it's just so beautiful. The colors in here are gorgeous as well. It's very light and bright, and yet you've got these wonderful pops of color everywhere too.
We cannot deny the fact that these tiny homes have grown in popularity in recent years. It's hard to predict exactly how they will fare 10 or 20 years down the line. And as such, investing in these houses seems risky. Are these assets or not? Well, it is subjective. For some, they're completely crap, and for others, yes, they do generate money. If the tiny house is owned outright and used as a primary residence, it could be considered an asset as it has value and can be sold or rented out to generate income. In addition, it may appreciate in value over time, which could increase its worth and provide a return on investment. Also, it can be used to save money on a lot of amenities that can generate you an extra income which otherwise was not possible. Hence, in this sense, we might consider them an asset. It's worth noting that the definition of an asset can vary depending on the context and the individual's perspective. So, we might be wrong if we consider these tiny houses as potential houses of the future. And if we invest in them now, it's a strong possibility that in the future there might be more demand for these houses. With the population explosion, a valid reason to hold on to these houses and future potential assets. Valuation of these houses. The valuation of a tiny house will depend on several factors, such as its size, location, materials used, and the features and amenities it offers. Location. The location of the tiny house can have a significant impact on its value. Tiny homes located in desirable areas with good access to amenities and services will typically have a higher value than those in remote or less desirable locations. Materials. The materials used to build the tiny house can affect its value. High-quality materials such as cedar or redwood can increase the value of the home, while lower-quality materials may decrease it. Features and amenities. The features and amenities offered by the tiny house can also affect its value. Homes that are designed with sustainability in mind have unique or innovative features, or offer modern amenities will typically have a higher value than those that do not. Overall, the value of a tiny house will depend on a variety of factors. These factors contribute to the value you may get in the future, if in case your tiny house stands out as a future asset.